Hello guys, welcome back to the third episode of the Footy Fans podcast. It's me and Benji here again, and today we'll be talking about our all-time Premier League favourite 11, and there's some future stars in football. Obviously, for a club to improve, you're going to need youngsters in your team, because there will be the next best things. Obviously, there's the obvious ones like Mbappe, like Haaland, so on and so forth, that are already doing well. But there's a couple of people that I think look a bit, don't really look at and don't really pay attention to. But then again, the ones that I've got quite a bit of detail on are well known, but not really seen as a proper next best thing. I've got a couple of people like Joao Felix, like Ansu Fati, like Greenwood, who in their youth and senior career, Joao Felix has scored 43 goals and got 20 assists in 123 games. That's all in his youth and senior career. In his senior career, he's already won the UEFA Nation League for Portugal. Vinicius Jr. has got 22 goals and 21 assists, again in 123 games from wing. So that's quite good for a youngster. But what I saw, I think, was possibly the best youngster in my list I made was the striker called Xerxes for Bayern Munich. He's 21 years old, and he's in 95 games. He's scored 51 goals and got 25 assists. So that's near about a goal every other game for a guy who's 20 years old, and that's in both youth and senior career as well. But I think Xerxes is probably going to be one of the next best things, especially for Bayern Munich. He's in his career, he's already won the Bundesliga, the DFB Pokal, which is like the FA Cup in terms of English football, and he's won the Champions League obviously this season. So he's a very talented player. When you watch clips of him, he could be the next best thing. And like I said, in terms of senior career and youth career combined, he is a very prolific goal scorer. So, what do you think of him?
Yeah, I think this guy, not many people talk about him, as you said. He have even won the German third tier champion with the Bayern Munich 2. As I'm looking right now, his market value is around 9 million euros. He's 1.93 centimeters tall, and he's from the Netherlands. And yeah, he looks quite good.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, he might be, because obviously Lewandowski is getting older now, so I think but if Bayern Munich take a punt on him, I think they'll be able to get. He'll be a good striker for them. But who I also think started to get quite a bit of hype around him when he plays. I think it was in the Champions League. Billy Gilmour. He did a really good game for Chelsea. And honestly, if he follows the hype that he gets, he could be, funnily enough, the next Lampard for Chelsea, because he's a very good centre mid. He can read the game well for how young he is, and he's just very good at passing the ball. So I think Billy Gilmour could also be quite a good player in the future.
Yes. And I'm a Chelsea fan, so I've been watching him a bit. And not going to, just to mention, the nutmeg on Fabinho he did in the FA Cup was like, he got more hype after that when he did send Fabinho back to Monaco. But I think he's a good player. He's like Jorginho. They both is like, but they're both passing it back to the defense. But Gilmour is better at attacking. He's better at shooting. Have good free kicks for the under 21s and the development. I think you say that. So yeah. I understand Billy Gilmour. He's read the game, as you said, very good, and good at passing, good at dribbling. He's quite fast, but he's just 170 with 1.70. Do you say 1.70? No,
1.70. No, you've got me confused now as well.
Yeah, but he's he's like Messi at centimeters tall.
I mean, to be fair, you don't really need to be that tall for a midfielder. Xavi and Iniesta weren't. So, yeah, it's just not too important.
In terms of height. He's not the strongest.
I mean, to be fair, when you're young, you see in a lot of players that they don't really have that strength. Messi was tiny when he was younger. Obviously, we've seen now Mason Greenwood's kind of just had a bit of a bulk up over the break. So I think as he starts to grow more as a player, he'll start to discover that he needs a bit more strength on him. So I think in about 5 years' time, Billy Gilmour might be the next best thing in terms of midfields. And finally, I've got possibly, in my opinion, I think he will be the best player, one of the best players in the world in about probably, will be known as one of the best players in the world in about 10 years' time, and that's Vinicius Junior. He's a very talented winger for Real Madrid. If you watch him play, he's very, very skillful, a bit like what Neymar was for Barcelona. He's obviously still very young, just coming from a Brazilian league, and the fact that he actually plays for Real Madrid at his age, which is like now, shows that he's good enough and will be even better. So I think Vinicius Junior in in about 10 years' time will be probably the best in the world, along with Mbappe, Haaland, and a couple of the other people that I've listed.
Yes. He coming from Flamengo 2 years ago for around 40 million for him. Now his fee is, I think it's 50 million, around that.
If someone were to sign him as well, ask for a lot more, because I think a lot of people know how good he will be. So I think if Chelsea, I'm just going to use Chelsea as an example. If Chelsea want to sign him, I think they would ask for around probably 80 million, because if you've signed a player for 40 million who's got a lot of potential on him, you're going to want double that at least. So obviously, I'm going to talk from experience. As I mentioned last episode, I'm a Watford supporter. We signed Sarr for about 40 million. If we didn't get relegated this season, in a couple of years' time, we probably would have sold him for around 80, maybe even 90 million pound. Whether he stays or goes this season, I don't know. But it's just sort of way of comparing it. I think if Vinicius Junior were to go, it would be for nearer 100 million than 50 million. So, yeah, it's just my opinion.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Chelsea as an example. If Chelsea didn't sign Christian Pulisic, I think Vinicius would be good for them.
I mean, obviously, it's not like Vinicius Junior is needed at Chelsea. Christian Pulisic has recently, after the break, has been doing a very, very, very good job for Chelsea. Has been scoring those goals, and obviously got the nickname Captain America. Obviously, being American is it's obvious, but he's a very, very, very talented player at quite a young age. I know he's not. I know he's quite young, so you've just got to wait and see for him.
Yes. Do you have anything more to say?
Not really. Just a couple more people listed, but looking at it now, they haven't really done enough compared to the people that I've already listed. So no, I'm done. I'm done on this end.
Yeah, we could take them in another episode, but I think we're going to go to our best Premier League 11. So I have done one and you have done one. So which formation have you picked?
I've picked a 4-3-3 with a cam.
Yeah, I picked 4-2-4. So who's in your goal?
For me, I'm a goalkeeper myself and playing football.
Same.
So the person I admire the most is Peter Schmeichel. I don't think there's been a goalkeeper compared to him in terms of leadership. Obviously, David Seaman, I think, might compare to him in terms of ability. But Peter Schmeichel, if you ask any Man United defender or anyone who played with him, who was the worst goalkeeper in terms of leadership, in terms of shouting you played with, they would all say Peter Schmeichel. But then if you could choose a goalkeeper out of anyone to go behind you, they would also say Peter Schmeichel. So that says something a lot about the player. So yeah, my goalkeeper is Peter Schmeichel.
Yeah, I'm a Chelsea fan, so it could be that I say very many Chelsea players, but I have quite much more. I have been looking at them more than I have done with Peter Schmeichel. But in my goal, I have placed Peter Cech. He has the most clean sheets and the most high claims in the league. The high claims isn't that much, but Cech was a very good keeper for Chelsea, the team that just conceded 15 goals in one season. I understand you put Schmeichel, and I think Schmeichel and Cech is the best goalkeeper in the Prem history. Yeah, Lehmann and Seaman too, they are very good players. I understand.
Obviously as well, Peter Schmeichel has won. I'm not sure who's won more. I think Peter Schmeichel won more with Manchester United and then Cech did with Chelsea. But I'm not Chelsea. Peter Cech is a very good player. Petr Cech is a very good player, a very good goalkeeper, and I do watch him as a goalkeeper and try and copy him. pretty much. But I think, in my opinion, Peter Schmeichel was the best goalkeeper of Premier League history and possibly one of the best goalkeepers of all time.
Yeah, the same. I also think that Schmeichel is very good, as I said. Him and Cech they are the best for me. But I go for Cech.
Fair enough. Who is at your left back position then?
My left back, I don't know who I was thinking of right now, but I put Ashley Cole winning the Champions League, Premier League with Chelsea, and a good left back.
I put the same person. I don't think anyone in the Premier League competes with Ashley Cole in his position. Obviously, he did wonders at Arsenal, and then when he went to Chelsea, he did even better. So I think Ashley Cole is probably the best left back of all time for in the Premier League. So I agree with you there. 2 centre backs. Who have you put?
I have been put. I was thinking this was very hard because for me it was Ferdinand, Terry, or Vidic, but I put Rio Ferdinand and John Terry as my centre backs. John Terry scored 51 goals. A very good centre back at the headers, and he had 231 clean sheets. And Ferdinand just had 11 goals, but he wasn't the type of going forward. He was good, very good. I could put Vidic, but I was sitting comparing on the Premier League app between Terry and Vidic and Ferdinand and Vidic. So for me, it is Terry and Ferdinand.
To be fair, before I mention mine, I think obviously you mentioned Vidic, but I think one that has to be said is Jamie Carragher. As much as he's not as much as legend himself when you compare them to some people, but he was a big character in the Premier League. I think you can say that very definite. And I thought he just needs to be mentioned. But for my centre backs, I've put Rio Ferdinand as well. Obviously, like you said, he was a very good centre back for Manchester United and was a leader for many, many years. But in my other centre back position, I've put Tony Adams for Arsenal.
Yeah.
I think he went through a lot in his career in terms of being the captain, but then obviously alcohol and drugs and so on and so forth. But I think in terms of a centre back, he is probably one of the best in the Premier League, and that has been for a while. I think one that also needs to be said again is Vincent Kompany. Obviously a bit underrated in my opinion. He did a lot for Manchester City, but I think that's me done for my centre backs. Who did you put at right back?
Another Chelsea player with Branislav Ivanovic.
Yeah.
And he was good attacking and defending. He did score. I think he did score many goals. He helped us win over Benfica when we won the Champions League I think it was the quarterfinals. If I ain't bad at it.
I'm not sure, to be fair.
And I think I could put, is his name Gary Neville or Phil Neville? I think
Gary Neville.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Phil Neville played in the same position, but Gary Neville, I think, is more known. And you mentioned Gary Neville. That's who I put right back. He was in his time for Manchester United. He was very good going forward. I would compare him to Trent Alexander-Arnold of today. He was very good going forwards and a very good leader. I think he was captain for Manchester United near the end of his career. But I think I'm not quite sure on how many goals and assists he got. But I don't know if there was many. To be fair, there's not many right backs that are memorable in the Premier League. But I think the ones that crossed my mind were Gary Neville, Ivanovic, and Zabaleta. But other than that, I think Gary Neville was probably the best one out of the picks. So obviously, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and for Phil Neville, I searched it up. He was playing, as you said, like Gary Neville, but he did even play at the midfield. So yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you say you've gone with 4-2-4. So who have you put as your two centre mids?
Now I'm going to get all the Liverpool fans after me, but I put Paul Scholes and Frank Lampard.
Wow, fair enough.
Lampard even had 195 goals. I think he's the most for a midfielder in the Prem history.
Yep.
Yeah, and Paul Scholes he had 107 goals and 56 assists, but he wasn't that type of player. He was attacking, but not like Frank Lampard. He was.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, I've gone with the 4-3-3 with a cam. So I think what you've missed out on a lot, which I'm more surprised at than Steven Gerrard, is Patrick Vieira.
Oh, whew.
He was obviously the captain of Arsenal and probably one of the best centre mids of the whole Premier League era. So but that surprises me a lot that you left him out. I've gone with Steven Gerrard in the other centre mid. I know you mentioned Frank Lampard scored more goals than him, but again, he was Liverpool captain for a long time, and he was a club legend there, and he won Champions League, won a Champions League, I think 1 or 2 times, and won multiple different trophies. But then at Cam, I have got Frank Lampard. Because, like you said, he's scored the most goals, or probably scored the most goals for a midfielder in the Premier League. And obviously, you said you picked Scholesy. I was contemplating it. I was really thinking Frank Lampard or Scholes. In my opinion, I think Steven Gerrard is better than Frank Lampard. But obviously, you're a Chelsea supporter. You'll think Frank Lampard is better than Steven Gerrard. But honestly, I think Scholes and Frank Lampard are 2 different players, but can be compared to each other at the same time. So it is very hard to pick between the 2. But eventually, I pick Frank Lampard.
Yeah, and if I'm looking up right now, I think Steven Gerrard won 1 Champions League, and it was when they beat AC Milan on penalties. So the thing that people ain't mentioning is that Frank Lampard won many more Premier League trophies. He didn't even win 1. So sorry, all the Liverpool fans that are watching. So
yeah. Fair enough. So 4-2-4. You've got a left winger, yeah?
Yep, and I have 2. I think I can say both of my wingers right now, and I got Giggs at right wing and Ronaldo at left. But I think that Giggs played at the left, but I did put him at the right because he was left-footed.
I think Giggs played both sides, to be fair. So I think you're okay there. Left and right wing, I've gone Cristiano Ronaldo as well. Left wing. A bit inconvenient. I don't know if he actually played here or not, but I know he played at right wing at some point in his career. Is David Beckham?
Yes.
I think he needed to be said at some point. I don't know if he played right wing, but he needs to be in the team. So I think I've just put him there, to be honest. David Beckham being probably one of the best and most iconic midfielders in the Premier League era. Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously, he was there young. But he was at United when he was young. But he was the person who introduced skill in the Premier League. There wasn't really much skill being done. And then when Cristiano came from Sporting Lisbon, he really introduced it. But who have you put your 2 strikers?
I could pick Eric Cantona and Didier Drogba, but I did put Thierry Henry and Alan Shearer.
Yeah, to be fair. Obviously, I've only got 1 striker to use. I probably should have put Thierry Henry, but I've picked Alan Shearer. He scored the most goals in Premier League history. I think he scored 260 goals in his career. And obviously, I know there's lots of people to choose from. You mentioned Thierry Henry. I think Cantona could have been picked. He was a very good striker for Leeds and for United. Obviously, he was a bit crazy and a bit stupid at points. But I think Eric Cantona could have been picked. And in all honesty, Hazard could have been picked. I don't think many wingers really compared to him in terms of skill. But obviously, I don't think he spent enough time at Chelsea to be classed as a Premier League legend, to be honest. But again, you might disagree. And again, there's one more who I think... really is a matter of opinion, and Aguero. Honestly, I think he scored the most goals for a foreign player in the Premier League. I'm not sure. I know it's something along those lines, but I think Aguero, in terms of goal scoring, there isn't really much better. I think you can compare him to Alan Shearer in terms of play style. He's a very good shooter, but isn't the fastest. But yeah, that's all that I've got. There's probably a couple of people that we've forgotten, but I think that's my team.
Yeah, and breaking news, I just saw Chelsea have announced the signing of Malang Sarr from Nice, but he was a free agent right now. So my team just signed up another player. We just waiting for Thiago Silva to be announced. I think it's going to be announced today or tomorrow. And Harvest tomorrow or on Friday
I
or
think
Saturday you have a.
I think Thiago Silva's medical is happening tomorrow, or I think he's done his medical, but he needs to go into a 14-day quarantine now. So I think after that he will be announced.
I think he'll be. Now they haven't the picture of Malinstar isn't when he signs the contract. It's just a picture of him because I think the same. Because they are in France right now, and Paul Pogba got it because I don't think Sarr got called up for the Nations League versus Sweden, Portugal, and Croatia.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't have anything more to say.
It's a good sign for Chelsea, but yeah, I think we're done here. Thank you guys for listening to episode 2 of the Footy Fans. Make sure you subscribe and like the video, and I think we'll be back with another episode shortly.